There's some optimism in Washington as negotiations over the debt ceiling seem to have gone well yesterday. And it looks like the NBA's next generational player is headed to San Antonio. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Jeff Pierre. It's Wednesday, May 17th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. First up, talks to prevent a debt ceiling crisis might finally be moving forward. President Biden and Republican negotiators seemingly made progress during talks at the White House yesterday. After the meeting, Biden spoke about the common ground between both sides.
There was an overwhelming consensus, I think, in today's meeting, the congressional leaders, that defaulting on the debt is simply not an option. Our economy would fall into recession. It would devastate retirement accounts, increase borrowing costs, and according to Moody's, nearly 8 million Americans would lose their jobs, and our international reputation would be damaged in the extreme if we were to let that happen.
Congress must raise or suspend the limit on the amount of money the U.S. can borrow to pay its bills. If that doesn't happen by June 1st, it could unleash chaos. Biden will cut his trip to Asia short to focus on finalizing a deal. He leaves for that trip today. Number 2, North Carolina banned most abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy. The state legislature yesterday voted to override the recent veto by Democratic Governor Roy Cooper. The announcement led to shouts from protesters screaming "Shame, shame" on the House floor.
The House has overridden the governor's veto and the bill becomes law, notwithstanding the governor's objections. So be notified.
The ban will go into effect on July 1st. It significantly narrows the window for legal abortions in the state, but stops short of more restrictive measures that we've seen across the South and Midwest. Number 3, Philadelphia took a big step towards electing its first female mayor. Cheryl Parker is a former Pennsylvania state legislator. She won the Democratic nomination for mayor in a primary yesterday, and she'll be heavily favored to win the election in November. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, State Attorney General Daniel Cameron won the Republican primary for governor. He'll face Democratic Governor Andy Beshear in November. It's set to be one of the biggest elections of the year. An intruder at the National Security Advisor's home is under investigation. That's number 4. An unknown man entered Jake Sullivan's Washington, D.C. home one night in April. He was confronted by Sullivan, who told him to leave. Sullivan wasn't injured, but the incident has sparked alarm among officials. Sullivan is a top aide to President Biden and has round-the-clock Secret Service protection. The Secret Service is investigating how the intruder managed to get into Sullivan's home undetected. Number 5, some key states are nearing a deal to protect the Colorado River. The agreement would see California, Arizona, and Nevada voluntarily conserve a major portion of their river water in exchange for over $1 billion in federal funds. A deal is needed to help keep the crucial river from drying up. It supplies water and hydropower for tens of millions of people, but there's not enough to go around after decades of drought. Number 6.
The second pick will be made by
the San Antonio Spurs won the NBA draft lottery last night.
And that means that the number 1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
That means that the team will have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft on June 22nd. The Spurs will almost certainly select Victor Wembanyama. He's a 7'4", 19-year-old French phenom and the most impressive teenage prospect since LeBron James. In other NBA news, the Denver Nuggets defeated the Los Angeles Lakers 132-126 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last night. Game 2 is tomorrow in Denver. Tonight is Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals in Boston, with the Celtics facing the Miami Heat. Number 7. Apple will soon let your iPhone speak in your voice. First, you'll have to provide 15 minutes of spoken samples. Then you'll be able to type messages on your phone and hear your voice say them out loud. The feature is expected this fall. It could help people who can no longer speak with the clarity or confidence they once did to interact with others more easily. It's one of the many accessibility tools debuting this year. You are all caught up with the news for today. Don't forget, you can ask your Amazon smart speaker to play this show. Just call the speaker's name and say, "Play the 7." I'm Jeff Pierre, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow.